Something's gotta give.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great rest of the day. Sorry if I brought you down.
No. I've been. It's good to talk about. Really, it's on my mind a lot. A lot. You have great rest. And I hope we can recognize our efforts as something. So.
Will you close that door for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, looks like we're experiencing some technical difficulties right here at 2101 Main Street, where we are at KABF 88.3 FM. And we are coming in kind of hot with Bill Withers talking about use me up. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But first, let me say yes. Thank you for joining us for Community Voices, where we are live right here every single Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. CST, and we invite you into the space to join us in this conversation. The phone lines are always open at 501-433-0088. The phone lines are always open at 501-433-0088. I am the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise, and I am hosting us on this day. It looks like I might be rolling solo this morning. I'm not sure. Toney might come in, and whenever he comes in, you know he will be welcome to join us. He's probably taking care of some kind of business with some kind of entity, with some kind of organization that he is always doing, always working, always running around, making me tired. I don't even try to figure it out. I'm sure he will let us know when he shows up in this space. But I do want to greet you this morning in the spirit of Sawubona. Sawubona is a Zulu tribal greeting, which on its face means hello. It is an invitation. It is a greeting for you just to be seen in the world in which we are living, particularly right now in this season of political unrest. We really don't feel like that people are even looking at us. We are walking into the grocery stores, and it doesn't even feel like you are seeing me. It doesn't feel like you are acknowledging me. It doesn't feel like you recognize that I am in your presence right now, that this is a holy space, that divine energy is amongst us together in this space. It doesn't feel like many people are acknowledging that. And so the Sawubona, that greeting says, I see you. And not only do I see you, but I celebrate you, I honor you, I embrace you. I want you to know that I am you. Even in the spirit of Ubuntu, I am, because we are. And that is what the Sawubona invites us to consider, the oneness of our humanity that binds us together regardless of all of our differences. The differences that we have just in our own personalities, as well as the differences that the world places on us. Regardless of that, I am you and you are me. And so how do we figure that out? And how do we work together to make sure that that oneness precedes everything, that we don't allow anything to usurp the oneness that we have together as humans? And so I invite you into this space where we center Blackness in the context of the human story. Like, how do we allow our oneness to make us coexist so that we can forge together toward toward collective liberation? Because if I'm not free, you ain't free. And as a Black person in America, I can tell you that I'm not free. So whoever you are, whatever identities you hold, if I ain't free, you ain't free. That's bottomline.com. So how do we work through that? How do we interact together to get past that? How do we realize and manifest the world that we want to see, that we continue to fight for, that has not yet revealed itself? Like, how do we do that? And so that's what this conversation is rooted and grounded in on today, and always on Tuesdays. And I'm starting with Bill Withers this morning, talking about use me up, because of the conversations that I've been having lately. Like, there's no doubt that Bill Withers is writing this song as a romantic. And he's writing this song because he has friends who are cautioning him about the relationship or relationships that he has entered, where it appears to their friends on the outside that he's being used. It appears to his friends on the outside of the relationship looking in that he is not being treated the way they believe he deserves to be treated. And they're trying to prod him. They're trying to say, hey, yo, wait, what's up? I need you to pause for a moment. Like, pump your brakes. I need you to see what's really happening, because you're so in love. You're so enamored. You're so in lust. You're so in whatever these emotions are that are driving you in this moment. It's not possible for you to see what's really going on. And so because we are your friends, because we love you, we want you to see that you are being used in this moment, and it's not fair to you, and we want you to check it. And Bill Withers is like, you know what? I hear you. Like, I'm not even doubting what you're saying, because I trust you as my friends. You are my friends because you don't just yes me. You are my friends because you will challenge me, because you will tell me the truth, because you will ask, you will push back on me. Like, that's why you are my friends. And so I'm not even suggesting that you're lying. I'm not even saying that you're saying it wrong. What I'm saying is, because it feels so good to me to be in this relationship, even if I am being used. And let's just say that I am. It feels so good to me that I'm just going to let them use me up. They can have all of me, not just a piece of me. Like God said, you can have a piece of my love. You can have all of me. I will willingly, intentionally give myself over to you because I like the way I feel, even if I'm being misused, even if I'm being abused. I like it so much that I'm allowing it to happen. And so he's saying that as a romantic. And I feel like we can lift this conversation, these lyrics up out of that romantic space and place us and place them on us and ask us to consider them in the socio-political space that we're in right now, where we can ask ourselves, like, are we being used by the system to the point that this relationship really is not healthy? And not only is it not healthy to us, but other people can see the impact that this relationship that we're having with the system of whiteness, the system of white inhumanity, the system of our government. Other people can see the effect, the toll that it's taking on us. And they're saying, hey, I need you to pay attention to how you're being used right now. I need you to pay attention to your complicity. I need you to pay attention to the fact that you're giving yourself over head first to a system that does not love you back. You love it and you appreciate it. You have all these hopes and dreams and all these goals and aspirations surrounding this system, but this system simply does not love you. I need you to step back and pay attention. I need you to step back and interrogate yourself. I need you to step back and do a self-examination so that you can realize that you ought to divest from these systems because they are not healthy for you. And many of us, in the midst of our friends who love us, who are saying to us, hey, it is high time, it is past time for us to rethink how we are operating and navigating this world system, these world systems. We're saying, baby, listen, I feel so good with my job. I feel so good with my car. I feel so good with my house. I feel so good with the clothes I'm wearing, the name brands I got on, with the clothes I can buy my children, that I'm going to let them use me up. And so I'm hoping that Bill Withers will just give us some moment of pause, like as we are jamming, because I know I was jamming. Hey, I love this song. In the midst of jamming, in the midst of moving our bodies to the beat, to the rhythm, that we might say, well, you know what? Let me think about this. I'm hoping Bill Withers can do that for us. Like, hold on a minute. Let us stop. You know, maybe Bill Withers is saying, maybe I gave myself all the way up, but I'm not sure I'm suggesting that you should do the same. Let's rethink this thing. And so that's what I'm hoping Bill Withers will do for us on this morning. And I'm rooting it also in the context of our EJI tidbit. The Equal Justice Initiative puts out a calendar every single year. That gives us the calendar gives you tidbits. Tidbits is just meaning that it's just a little bit of information, basically to spark your curiosity, to make you say, wait, I want to know more about this. They give you the year, they give you the date, they give you the names of the major players. And so you have enough information to chase it down. You have enough information to go to your browser and to look this up and to learn more. And for some people who are not interested in having a calendar on the wall, that's just not how you roll. Instead, you say, I want to receive this information via email. You can send in your email address. All they ask for is your email address and your zip code. They don't ask for any other identifying information or contact information. They simply want to send into your email every single day more information. So the calendar gives you a tidbit, but the email gives you even more context, even more information, content about what happened on this particular day. And so it is important to me, as it is important to the EJI, the Equal Justice Initiative that is led by Attorney Brian Stevenson, to make sure that we are keeping our history ever present for us, because it's not just our history, it continues to be our present. And so we have to contend with these issues if we're going to realize a different future. And so I appreciate this calendar. I appreciate their work. I am just enamored by Brian Stevenson. If I ever meet him, I am not one of those celebrity persons where, like people, you see them, they meet somebody and they like lose their minds. They start hollering and jumping up and down and screaming and they can't believe it and they don't want to touch them. Like, I'm not talking about that kind of enamored, but for someone whose work that I respect, for someone whose work that I believe is admirable and honorable and should be duplicated and replicated in every aspect of our lives, like the work of justice, the work of equity, the work of freedom and liberation. Like, I really am enamored by him. And so I appreciate these tidbits that I offer to you every single Tuesday. So I want to share this one with you, which did actually happen on January, no, this is February 18th, which is today, February 18th. I don't always do the same day, but February 18th in 1965. Jimmy Lee Jackson, a 26-year-old Black man, is shot by a white police officer after police attack a peaceful civil rights protest in Marion, Alabama, and he dies 8 days later. So in 1965, on this day, February 18th, Jimmy Lee Jackson, a 26-year-old Black man, is shot by a white police officer after police attack a peaceful civil rights protest in Marion, Alabama, and he dies 8 days later. So here you have a situation where a Black man is participating in his civil rights, in his rights as a citizen, in the rights that are afforded to him by the Constitution that we continue to uphold, even in the midst of its even in the midst of the controversy surrounding it right now. We have so many of us that continue to talk about the founding fathers and what their vision was for this country, which gives you the right to a peaceful protest. And so Jimmy Lee Jackson, as a 26-year-old Black man, understands the power of protest, because for many people in this world that we are living in presently, the protest is the only way that our voices can be heard. It's the only way, because you're not listening to us at the ballot box. You're not listening to us in the legislature. You're not listening to us in your economic policies. You're not listening to us in your housing policies. You're not listening to us in your employment environments. You're not listening. So the only way that we can be heard is through our protests. And here, Jimmy Lee Jackson is protesting in this non-violent way so that his voice could finally be heard, hopefully. And the police attack is something that we see continually even now, that a peaceful protest turns out law enforcement in riot gear, in military gear, like just fully armed and ready to engage. And not only ready, but looking for and instigating instances so that they can engage. And then people end up hurt, people end up dead, people end up entangled in the criminal injustice system. All of this happens. And so you have this Black man saying, I ain't trying to fight you. I'm not interested in fighting you as a police officer. It's not my goal to call you a pig. It's not my goal to get all up in your face. I simply want my rights as a human to be recognized. That's it. I don't even know why you're here, sir, because that's the only reason I'm here. I'm only here to say I am human and I have a right. I have these rights that are mine and I am demanding them. I'm not fighting you. I am standing up for myself. And in the midst of that, he ends up dead 8 days later because the police choose to attack in this moment. That's a choice that they are making. And that is what we continue to face even now, where people are saying, all I'm asking, all I'm requiring, Hotel, I see you. All I'm requiring, all I'm requesting is that I be treated as a human. Like, I don't understand why there's a fight around that. I don't understand why we gotta have legislation around that. Like, I don't understand why we have to be all mean and nasty to each other on social media. I don't understand why you have to surveil me because of that. Like, I don't understand like why you are so threatened by me simply living into my humanity. And that is one of the questions that is driving our Build Black initiative that we are in right now. I still want to say thank you to those of you who are reaching out to me because you are considering your position in this. I'm calling it an initiative right now. This initiative where you can see yourself, or you're interested in seeing yourself in one of the one of the six roles of engagement that are offered to you in this moment so that you can find yourself in position to divest from these systems. The very system that does not want to recognize you as human is the system that you do not have to engage. You don't have to be a part of these systems. There is a way for us to live outside of them, especially as Black folks, because it hasn't been that long ago that we were not included in them intentionally. And not only did we exist, not only did we survive, but we thrived to the point that it enraged the system. It enraged the system of whiteness. White folks lost their mind. How dare you develop a business system when I'm trying to keep my foot on your neck? How dare you have a community that takes care of each other? How dare you feed each other? How dare you clothe each other? How dare you sit with each other and take care of your bodies? How dare you pray together? How dare you live outside of our system and be good at it when many of us are still trying to figure it out because we haven't realized that the color of your skin does not protect you from the evilness of capitalism. You haven't figured that out yet. And so then you come to us to destroy the system that we created, that we didn't have a choice to create, but worked for us anyway. You destroy it because you cannot stand. The system of white inhumanity cannot stand to see Black folks in particular living. You don't want us to exist. So every chance that you get to stamp out our existence, that's what you do. And that has become part of the conversation. So I was thanking those of you who are calling in to say, I want to be a part of this. Be calling in on that number. Let me give that number out again. It's 501-503-2988. Those of you who are interested in what we are calling Building Black, Build Black. And the focus of it is to get us to shift in the mission of it is to get us to shift our focus so that we are no longer playing defense within these systems that are designed to destroy us, but we are playing offense because we are creating a system outside of the system. Like we have to live in it. There has to be a system, right? There has to be order. There has to be there have to be boundaries. There have to be guidelines. There has to be ethics. Like all of that has to happen. But it can happen in a system that is rooted in justice and equity and inclusion and peace. It can exist. And so that's what we're talking about, living in that kind of system. And so in order to do that, we're going to have to regroup. We're going to have to rethink. We're going to have to reimagine. And in some cases, we're going to have to do what Hotep continues to remind us to do, and Deidre always talks about, is the Sankofa, where we look back to think on how things were and pull from those experiences that which we can modify to use now. So the same principles and practices that led us out of the bondage that we were in can still be used even now, but they're going to have to take on a different look. They're going to have to take on a different feel. They're going to have to be used in different ways. And so this is what Build Black is about. It's about returning to that way of living that is outside of the system, that works for us as a community and helps us grow, helps us thrive, helps us live into our humanity. And so as I continue to have this conversation with people, so some of you I'm talking to on the phone, and I'm talking to you on the phone because basically you're a stranger to me. You heard me give out the number, you called, and so we're talking, we're engaging, we're over the phone. And there's also some recruitment going on with people that we already know. I'm not the recruiter. I'm the one who gives it out over the air. I'm the one who talks about it on KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. But there's some recruitment happening in the community also with people that we do know. And those people, because we already are in relationship with you, we're inviting you to a table. So we are physically present with you having these conversations about what it means to build Black, what it means to be rooted in the knowledge that you are Black first, regardless of any other identity that you have, whether it's your race, your gender, your class, your educational achievements, whether your housing status, your immigration status, whether it's your gender orientation, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, regardless of any other identity or label that you may hold, this world sees you as Black first. So being reminded of that and having this conversation, we're seeing each other face to face, we're looking into each other's eyes, and we're having this this conversation. And one of the questions that continues to come up is, Denise, what are you going to do when they come on the attack? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, not what do you mean, but like, I'm not scared. Like, you ain't worried. You know that if you build this, they're gonna come and tear it down. They're gonna come for it, like in full force. I'm well aware of that. And I also know that we're positioned differently now. When I think back to my ancestors and my elders in the Black community, because some of them are still alive. Some people, I think, when I talk to Ezekiel, he reminds me of so many spaces where he has been physically present in what I call the past. Like it's the past. Like I'm looking back on it because like I'm 52 and I'm like I didn't experience this. And he's like, no, I remember. I used to walk, like so. These are experiences that I've lived. And so when I think about my ancestors in the system of enslavement, and I think about my elders that are very present with me even now, and I think about what happened to them, I don't see them as failures. I don't see them as weak. I don't see them as those who were unwilling to fight for their rights. Like I don't see them in that way at all. I see them as not having all of the resources that they needed, that they deserved, that were rightfully theirs to live in the way that they envisioned for themselves. That's all I see. I see a lack of resources. And so when I think now about the system that we are building, because Build Black is an initiative that's coming in on the continuance of a story. We're not pretending in any way that we're starting this conversation of living outside of the system. We're not pretending. We're not disillusioned in that way. We're coming in on a conversation that was already happening, and we're just trying to figure out how we fit into the dialogue. That's all we are doing. And so when I think about the fact that, okay, they're going to come for us the same way that they came for our elders, I'm like, yes, they absolutely are. In fact, that is the goal. On some level, that's the goal, because they only come for us when they see us as a threat, when they realize that you are now doing something that's bigger than they expected, that is going to threaten, jeopardize their way of living. Now that you have stirred them up, you have beat that hornet's nest, that bee's nest, the hornet's nest, and now they are raging, and so I expect that to happen. I'm fully willing for that to happen. And I know that we are positioned with more resources. So you can come for us if you want to, but it's not gonna some of this stuff is the past. The way that it showed up, the way that you showed up last time and were able to do what you do because you had more artillery, you had more ammunition, you had more partners, you were in collaboration with more of the system, more people, more entities, more organizations. Yes, you were able to do things differently, but now it's a new day when it comes to resources. And we are not lacking in the same ways that we were before. And so this idea that we're going to have to fight is very much embedded in the Build Black initiative. But just like Jimmy Lee Jackson, the Build Black initiative is not an invitation to war. We realize that we have to position ourselves for war. We are in a war right now in the world, but even as we build this initiative, it's a different kind of war that we'll be in. We're not coming for you. We are simply saying we are here. We belong, we deserve, it is our right. I am human, and I get to live how I want to live. I'm not coming for you. It's peace. We're building our own system. We're at peace with each other. We're at peace with the world. We are not trying to engage, sir, ma'am, gender non-conforming person. We are simply living into our divinity. That's all. Now, we're being peaceful. You want to come start something, then that's a different conversation, and we'll be absolutely ready. And we'll be ready because, as we stated, with the 6 principles of the 6 positions of engagement, one of them is called boots. I know we haven't talked about it much, the way that it actually works, but all of the positions, the 6 positions of engagement, are really positions of the body. When you look at them, you have boots, you have suits, you have minds, mouths, hands, and hearts. Like all of those are parts of the body. And so we're simply showing up as a part of the body that's working together as a whole, as one unit in pushing this in pushing the nation forward, then that's all we're doing. Like, we're showing up in these positions as one body, moving toward the same goal as a force, not as a community, not as a collective, but as a nation, as a force to be reckoned with, for sure. And so one of those positions is boots. And we're talking about foot soldiers. Foot soldiers being, these are our protectors. These are the ones who are standing ready. They ready on site. On site, they ready to engage in whatever kind of combat is necessary. And sometimes that combat is physical and sometimes it is not. But whatever kind of combat it is, the boots are ready. And so that is their role, to make sure they are practiced, to make sure they are prepared, to make sure they are licensed, to make sure that they are well resourced, to make sure that they have others, that they have recruited as many people as we need to be in those roles. Like, that's what the boots do. And so we will be ready for whatever comes our way, because that's simply part of a system. A system has to be able to protect itself. And so this system will be no different. So for those of you who are a little bit worried about whether or not we're going to be able to withstand the attack, please hear me when I say, yes, we will. No doubt about it. I'm not even worried. I'm not even a little bit worried. Another one of the positions of engagement that we have, we're calling the suits. And we're simply saying that these are the people who are responsible for our resources. Whatever kind of supplies we need, whether they are physical supplies, emotional supplies, psychological supplies, economic supplies, these are the people who are networking. These are the people who are connecting. These are the people who are at work, making sure that we have access to the resources that we need to continue to move forward as a nation. And so those are what we're calling the suits. And the image that I have is, like, I got on this jacket right now. You know how people who wear a suit, many times when they stand up and they they slide into their jacket, they slide into their blazer, they grab it around the collar, just beneath the collar, and they pull it together, then you button it. And so the suits, that's how I think about it. Like, you're tying yourself up, you're buttoning yourself up, getting ready to go to work on getting these resources that we need to do the work that we're doing of divesting from the system that we are presently living in and building the system that we want to manifest, that we believe is a better system that can sustain the world. Because we know, those of us who are a part of this Build Black initiative, we know that it's Blackness that has shaped the world. It is Blackness that has created this world. It's Blackness that continues to propel this world forward, even though all the work that we do is discounted, it is dismissed, it is discredited, all of that. But what it cannot be is denied. The only reason that people are working so hard to invisibilize us is because they don't want to recognize the contributions. They don't want to recognize that the creation of the United States, especially as you know it, but of course the entire world, is because of Blackness. It's because of Black folks. And when I say Black, I'm meaning all members of the African diaspora, wherever you fit into that conversation. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about it last night. I watch competitive cooking shows, and I'm watching Top Chef, and I'm watching season, I don't know, I think this is season, I'm binge watching, so I don't really remember. I think I'm on season 10, which is in Boston. Yeah, I think I'm watching season 10, which is in Boston, and there was one episode where they had the firefighters and the law enforcement, they were cooking for them. And the chef contestants were talking about what an honor it was to cook for them, because they remember the work that they did when the Boston Massacre happened, so some event that was harmful and traumatic to us as humans. And then I remember like every season has this moment where in the particular city and state that they are located for the the for the contest, that they harken back to this moment where they um, relied on first responders to do their job of going into danger, like facing danger head on. So they talk about 9/11, they talked about the Boston Massacre, they talked about like all of these different instances. And I said, it's so interesting to me how we want to remember 9/11 and thank the people who sacrificed their lives. We want to remember the Boston Massacre and thank the people who sacrificed their lives. We want to thank all these people for all this stuff that they've done. But when we talk about the system of enslavement and the people who lost their lives, who sacrificed their lives, whose lives were brutally taken from them, who were slaughtered, who were raped, who were maimed, we don't want to honor them. We don't want to have any celebrations for them. We don't want to make that part of the. As a matter of fact, this particular episode, they're in Boston because they're going to this place called the Plymouth, where they are still recognizing the Indians and the colonists, and this was where the first Thanksgiving happened. Now listen, I did not look this up. I did not fact check this. I'm just telling you what they said. This is where they had the first Thanksgiving. So they have descendants of the colonists, because this man and his son was 12th and 13th generation of the colonists. And across the table from them, they had generations of the people, I want to say from the Wampanoag. Oh, I'm getting it wrong. I think it's Wampanoag. These were from that tribe these are their descendants, and they're at the table together. And so they ask them a question everybody's at the table because they celebrate Thanksgiving, and they're at the table, and they ask them the question about like, what does this mean to you? And like nobody at the table said anything about, y'all know we want friends. Why we trying to act like this was like, so really y'all, we finna recreate this meal where we sitting across the table like we would like we were all kumbaya. Nobody mentioned anything about the massacre. Nobody mentioned anything about disease. Nobody mentioned anything about slaughter. Nobody mentioned any. It's like, oh no, the colonists are like, we're sitting here with the Indians. Ha ha. And I'm like, you're gonna make me throw up in my mouth a little bit. We have got to have real conversations. And so one of the things that we're doing at the table with our, those of our community members that we know we're in relationship with, we're like, come sit with us. Let us look across the table face to face, and let's talk about how we're going to move together to build this nation. A nation that is made up of boots. These are our foot soldiers. Of suits, who are our resources. Of mouths, who are the ones who are in the community, keeping a pulse on the community to make sure we know what the community needs so that we are meeting those needs. The minds are those who are educating us about our history, our present, and our future, and how we have to navigate through storytelling, through our historical accounts, through our lived experience to push this nation forward. Those of us who are acting as hearts, these are our recruiters, those of you who can touch the people and say, hey, this is where you belong. You belong with us. Can you see yourself with us? It's your choice, but we want you to know that here's a place where you can exist and be seen and be heard and be respected in your own right. Or you will be the hands. You are your hands are actually on the plow. You're actually doing the work. So you dig in gardens, you building houses, you refurbishing homes. You're doing all of that work. And so again, these are 6 positions that make up the body. These are the boots, the suits, the mouths, the minds, the hearts, and the hands. And so we're having this conversation, y'all, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm exhausted right now. We've been having these conversations for the last 3 weeks, and they have been constant conversations that have been on my mind 24/7. Well, not 24/7. Well, yeah, because I'm dreaming about them. I'm gonna tell you about the dream. If I had time, I'd tell you about the dream I had last night. But one of the concerns that I must raise right now is that in having these conversations, we have invited Black men to the table intentionally. Like, we've reached out to you and said, hey, we want to hear what you have to say. We want to know what you were thinking. We want to know if you see yourself as part of this initiative. Like, can we do this? Like, do you believe that it can happen? Is it something that you can get behind? Can you support it? Are you encouraged in this moment? Are you inspired in this moment? Like, where are you? We just want to open the door for conversation, and we want to hear you. We want to receive you. We want to engage you in this moment. And every time that a Black man is sitting across the table, I'm just going to use me because I don't want to talk about anybody else at the table because I did not ask them permission to share the story with them. But since this is happening to me, I can share my own story. Every one of those Black men who has sat across the table from me has attacked me not necessarily as Denise, but has attacked me as a Black woman, saying that I am the reason why their lives are as bad as their lives are. And the way that they are defining their lives and the image of their lives that they are showing us, the picture that they are painting of their own lives, is that when you look at the caste system that this world has created, that has Black people at the bottom of the caste system, Black men also believe, and I'm only talking about the Black men that have come to the table. These are the only, so please, Black men all across the world, do not reach out to me today and say you ain't the one I'm talking about, because I'm telling you, I'm only talking about the ones who have been in person sitting across the table from me that I can reach out and touch. These are the men I'm talking about, that within the caste system that the world has created, where the Black people are on the bottom. Within that bottom caste system of Black people, there is a caste system. And in the caste system of Black people, Black men are on the bottom. And they are on the bottom because the world has decided that even though Black people are at the bottom, we're going to lift up certain members in the bottom. You're still in the bottom, but we're going to lift you up in the bottom. And the people that they are choosing to lift up would be Black women. And Black women like me in particular, because I am a college graduate. Wait, let me go back. Because I am a product of a two-parent home, because I did not grow up in the projects, because I have a college degree, I even have postgraduate degrees, because I am a homeowner, because I am a car owner, because I am all the women independent, and because I'm independent, because I am articulate, because I have an extensive vocabulary. Like, all of this puts me in this category that the world now says favors me over Black men. And so because I am now, the world has given me all these opportunities to advance, I am now weaponizing those opportunities against the Black man, and I'm using them as a Black woman to keep him down. And so I'm not respecting him as a Black man in the home. I'm not respecting him as the provider. I'm not respecting him as the one who's going to get my nails done and my hair done if I had hair. Like, you're not seeing me. And so they walk in the door sitting on ready to attack. And I'm honestly, y'all, I've been really good. I haven't gone off yet. I haven't gone off yet. In fact, I've been trying to help the other people at the table hear the Black man. Y'all just listen. This is what he's trying to say to us. So I'm really proud of myself, because I really want this to be a space for us to figure this out. Because if we're gonna build as a nation, we need each other. And so how are we gonna do this? And so this last Black man was like, had the audacity to say that any woman from any other culture treats the Black man better than the Black woman treats him, especially white women. And the one before that said, I am a Black woman, am so busy trying to be dominant like the white man that I cannot see the Black man. So, y'all, when I tell y'all that I do not get speechless very often, very rarely am I rendered speechless, very rarely. But when I tell you all that I had to gather myself, like I had to pause, I had to stop and 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 just first say, wait, like, what is happening? Like, what is happening right now? Like, what? I'm not understanding the words coming out of your mouth. But because there have been 3 men who have come to the table 3 weeks consecutively to have this same conversation about Black men being under the attack. They're not talking about the world attacking them. They're talking about Black women attacking them because we are positioned differently in life because of all the things I said about what we quote unquote have that they don't have access to because the world doesn't give them access to it, and we are we complicit with the world. Then I'm worried about building Black. I'm worried about how we're going to have a nation of Black folks, members of the African diaspora, if you inside the nation believe I'm your enemy. And so the question that I have on the table, so Deidre says, I'm okay if you sit. Okay, so Deidre's at the table with me. She probably shouldn't have told me I could say her name because I blame her for some of this. I blame her for some of this. Anyway, so that is my question to you as Black men in particular. Is that your experience right now? I really don't want to talk about this moment. Right now, I don't want to talk about how it was when we were enslaved. I don't want to talk about how it was in the 60s and 70s. I'm talking about right now. So right now in 2025, how many of you as Black men see Black women as your enemy because the world has separated us from each other by giving the women, Black women, more access, more opportunities, more resources. And because we have more, we are now treating you like you're nothing. Like, I need to know how many of you that is your experience. And I want to know how many of you as women are feeling this attack. Are you being attacked in the same way that Deidre and I have been in the last 3 weeks? It's been happening. Like, we just realized it 3 weeks ago. So call us clueless if you want to, but we did not know that these were the sentiments of our Black men. Because remember, we invited them. We like, okay. And wait a minute, y'all, I gotta tell y'all this. Every time the Black man has walked in the door, I have not known, well, the first time I did. That's not true. When they walk in the door, what I see when they walk through the door is, oh my goodness, look at this Black king coming through this door. I get excited. I'm like, okay. You see this Black man, you see him with his swag. Some of them got shaved heads, some of them got low cuts, some of them got locks. I mean, like, all of their personality is coming. I mean, I'm scooting over at the table to make room for them. I'm looking around to make sure they have, looking for the glasses, make sure they have like what they want to drink. We got to make sure we got the snacks. Does everybody have a plate? We got a plate for the Black man who just walked into the room. Like, I'm setting it up. Like, I'm getting myself ready. Like, let me make room for this Black man. Yes, thank you for coming. We couldn't wait for you. And it takes 5 minutes for him to open his mouth and just totally destroy all of those emotions, all of those feelings, all of that joy that just surrounded his presence. Like, we just so glad that you are here. And then to be made the object of the attack, it's like, I don't want to call it hurtful, because it doesn't, it just feels disorienting. That's what it feels. It feels like, I think one time I turned to look at the other women at the table and asked, are we in the Twilight Zone? Like, is we in the Twilight Zone? That's what it feels like. And so I want to know from Black men, like, is that your experience with us? I mean, we need to have this conversation. Is that your experience with us? And then I want to know, Black women, because I do not discount people's stories. So if 3 Black men are telling the same story on its face, like, it's got different, of course it's nuanced, it's based on their lived experiences, and so there are some pieces of it that don't look alike, but the principle of it is the same, that you are my enemy as the Black woman because you have more, the world has given you more, and you are now weaponizing that against me. So that's the premise. And so for 3 men to say that, it makes me feel like somebody must be making them feel this way. And so the question is then posed to women. Like, are you out there acting like you better than a black man because you got a job that pays more than his? Like, are you emasculating men in your home? Are you treating your husband, your spouse, your lover, your boyfriend, your boo thing, your baby daddy? Are you treating him like he's nothing because you got a degree? Because you make 6 figures? Because y'all living in a big house that's got your name on it? Like, are you doing that? Like, wait, what is happening? What is going on? Again, I keep at, is we in the twilight zone? I don't know what to do other than engage the conversation. You engage the conversation, we put it on the table, we work through it, we figure it out so that we can move on. If we're going to build a nation, we got to have these conversations. And I'm open to them to a point. We can't keep letting you, like, for the last 3 weeks, we've let you as black men, we've let you just kind of run, like, we've just let you have it. Like, you've been ranting and raving and cussing and fussing, and we've let you have it. We're not gonna let you go that far anymore because now at this point we've heard it, we got it, we understand, but you can be heard. And so how are we gonna do this? And so the question now becomes, for us, as we continue to talk about building Black, and again, I want to give you that number at 501-503-2988, 501-503-2988, because we're still leading up to our first meeting. Our first meeting is next Thursday, the 27th. And so those of you who are still reaching out, I told you that I would share the address with you. You should be learning the address this, I don't know if it'll be this week or early next week, but go ahead and block off the time. Like, you don't have to know the address to block off the time, but it's the 27th of this month, which is a Thursday, and it's happening from 7 to 8:30. And we are really serious about being on time. This is not colored people time. Don't think you can show up at 8 o'clock and be like, oh, I thought y'all was just, It's from 7 to 8:30. We will have some snacks provided, but this is definitely not time to eat. This is definitely not time to socialize in terms of, hey girl, well, I think I know you. No, it's not that. We really are conducting business in this space. And so you'll be getting that address as we, in the next few days. But 501-503-2988 is the number that you can call. We're still having conversation as strangers on the phone, and we're having conversations in person for those of you who we know we're already in relationship with, to figure this out. But because of these conversations that we're having with men, we're wondering now if this is going to have to be a woman-led initiative. Like, Black men, if you cannot get beyond what I believe is a trick of the enemy, because we got the same enemy. Like, I don't know why you think I'm your enemy. We actually have a common enemy, and that's who I'm inviting. We're inviting you. Deidre and I are leading this charge. We're inviting you to fight the powers that be right beside it. Like, yo, that's the whole goal. But if you cannot get past your animosity towards me as Black woman, towards Deidre as Black woman, then we don't mind doing it ourselves. And I can already hear people say, see. And I just want to say again, the only reason that we will have to do it ourselves is because you will choose not to stand with us. That's your choice. And so far, unfortunately, that is the choice that you all are making. The ones that are choosing to engage, you choose to engage to attack. So those of you who are interested in saying, no, I want to be right by your side, like 501-503-2988. If we're already in relationship, I don't mind you hitting me up on the number that you already know, which is 228-236-7440. We're using the 501 number because we are keeping a record. Like, this is history that we're making, because we're adding to this conversation in ways that we think pushes the needle forward. And so we're inviting you to be with us, and you can decide. Again, you don't have to decide before you get to the meeting, but you'll be deciding whether or not you want to be a part of the initiative that is to create a system, to divest from the present system and live outside of the system in a position of defense. I mean, offense as opposed to defense, where we are, we are the we are the captains of our fate. Like, we are the ones who are in charge of how we live and how we breathe and how we navigate together as a nation. And so we've got the 6 principles of purpose that deal with housing and transportation and treatment and reparations and education and employment. Like, those are the pillars of what we are doing, and we are positioning ourselves as one body in attainment of those goals that are holding us up, holding us down, that's the structure of the work. And we're doing it as one. We're doing it as one united front against the systems of white inhumanity. And so if we cannot do it with you, we will do it without you. I guess bottomline.com is that it's gonna get done. So where are you in this conversation? And so it can be an ongoing conversation, because I'm about to run out of time now. I just looked up at the clock. I got 2 minutes. And so you might not have, you don't have time to call in today, but we're doing this. And like I said, the first meeting, the first official meeting is on next Thursday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And that address will be forthcoming for those of you that we have. You call me, I'll give you the address, after we have a conversation, because we do ask questions in order to make sure that you are, I don't want to say worthy. That's definitely not the word, because we are all worthy. We all have value. I don't want to suggest that in any way, in any way that you do not. But you may not be a match for the nation, depending on your relationship with Jesus. And we want to continue to make sure that we are as transparent as possible on this issue. It's not about whether or not you have faith. It's not about whether or not you are a Baptist or a Catholic. Like, that is not, we couldn't care less. But we do want to know the role that Jesus plays in your Blackness. Because if you are Jesus first and not Black first, then this is not a match for you. We just need to go ahead and tell you that. There's no reason for you to dial the number. There's no reason for you to come to the table, because we cannot afford for your Jesus to subdue you in the time of crisis. When it is time for us to work, when it is time for us to move, when it is time for us to protect, when it is time for us to defend, we don't have time for you to start praying, going over in the corner, getting on your knees, speaking in tongues, and throwing holy water. We don't have time. This is not the space for that. And so as long as we are clear on that, that's really kind of what the conversation is about. Those of you who have talked to me, you can be my witnesses that is one of the parts of the conversation that I spend time on. Hey, I need you to tell me your story about Jesus. I need to know about your relationship. And it doesn't mean you can't have a relationship. You just need to understand the role of Jesus in your relationship. And so this may not be a match for you. That's the purpose of the conversation. That is why I'm giving you the number 501-503-2988, because if we decide together that you are a match, that's when you get the address. And so I'm super excited that the conversation continues. I cannot wait to hear from those of you who are going to call this week. I'm definitely looking forward to the in-person conversation on Thursday of next week. Y'all, we got to do this thing, because this world is past time, and the world as it continues to unfold daily is a reminder that this life that we are living right now, the way that we are, it is not sustainable. But we have a solution for you. So join us in building Black, in being Black first, in building a nation, in building Black. All of the words that I keep coming up with to say build Black. That's what we're inviting you to do. Thank you so much for joining us for Community Voices. You've been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. You don't want to go anywhere, because your girl Lola left me in charge again. And this time she gave me total freedom. She let me pick all the songs. So I cannot wait to show up as DJ Delight in just a minute. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.